Amit, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Chip. Always excited to come speak at the Ecosystem Business Summit. This is our gathering of the fellowship, the community of partner leaders learning from each other. So, warm welcome to everybody, and thank you, Chip.
Yep, fantastic. Take it away.
Yeah, today I'm going to talk about the hyperscaler movement. And as we have all seen, this is a critical element of the business network, one of the super nodes, one of the emerging massive clusters that one has to really think and utilize as you think about the growth levers in this economy. So what's the hyperscaler moment, right? If you look at the larger macro, Tech Target and other research firms have established that software spending is down. It is 30% down. And why is this happening? We've seen the economy around us tighten. We've seen capital, access to capital freeze up a little bit. We've seen companies downsizing. And as a result, those seats are no longer being utilized. And there is deeper scrutiny around all our budgets, right? So folks who have gone and pitched to CFOs, for example, there's bigger scrutiny. There are buying committees that are putting additional hurdles there because really what is in the moment is what needs to be truly funded for company growth. Now, at the same time, what we are seeing is that the cloud spend has actually increased 20%. This figure comes from Gartner, that year over year, the cloud spend has increased 20%. And this is why this is happening is because there's a once in a generation move to the cloud. Companies are replatforming from their on-premise systems to the cloud, but also new innovations are actually built natively in the cloud. If you talk about Gen AI stuff, the next generation data and AI platform pieces, the modern applications, they're built, born in the cloud itself. It's not just the replatforming of it. So there's a huge trend towards cloud spending, and companies are optimizing on that spend by larger cloud commitments to bring the overall cost down as well. So these hyperscalers have cloud commitments from companies that make a bet on one or more of these hyperscaler clouds at the same time. So this juxtaposition of down 30% overall IT spend, but the cloud spend is actually secular and growing at 20%, and if anything, it's actually accelerating. The other piece about the cloud is the moment where we are in is cloud is actually very mature. If you look at owning your own infrastructure versus going to hyperscalers, the maturity, the richness, the APIs, the services available. If you were to build any modern company, this creates that frictionless way to just simply go start working and create the next generation app, create the next generation user experience, and the pay by SIP models that have come in drive consumption, and you don't have to take the huge risk away. So this maturity that the cloud platforms have provided in terms of the offerings that can come quickly. You can learn from those offerings by iterating very quickly. For example, we've seen marketplace listings come online. People quickly see the offering, get massive test and deployment done. And then, a second listing come in very quickly. That actually scales from where the initial massive adoption is. So the cloud, marketplaces as well as the cloud platforms are used for rapid iteration in terms of frictionlessly deploying, testing, and driving consumption. And for the hyperscalers themselves, how does IT spending get optimized? They're able to work with large enterprise buyers, SMB buyers, and optimize their spend, their consumption, looking at different workloads and so on and so forth. So huge maturity in the cloud. And at the same time, as we have seen, on one end, there are people increasingly adopting the cloud things in a frictionless way. The co-sell piece has come in where partners are working very closely with hyperscalers, be it AWS, Microsoft, or Google, to collaboratively, share pipeline. And this could be partner, originated or hyperscaler originated opportunities. And as a result of joint positioning and joint, work, more and more, frictionless transactions are happening. And what better than actually connect the marketplace to it? So from a transactable point of view, we are seeing, huge amount of co-sell, which was actually happening through direct, sales. actually move towards marketplace sales. So as these hyperscaler teams have now combined their co-sell, practices, their co-sell teams together with the marketplace practices and marketplace teams, we are seeing the complete continuum from innovation where you're listing to the co-sell process and then transactability around this. And it doesn't stop there. That's where you can quickly provision the application and drive consumption. We are living in this cloud world where it is about annual recurring licenses and renewals. And what we've also seen is the disproportionate effect of hyperscaler marketplaces as well as co-sell on the renewal cycles. Because you can provision faster, you can actually deploy faster. And because you have more months in a year devoted to actual adoption, we see that cloud deals actually renew at a much better rate than traditional deals. And even better is that you can also combine the influence from not only your side towards renewal, but also the hyperscaler contracts for those renewals as well. So all in all, huge maturity. This macro around declining overall software spend, but cloud spend is faster, coupled with the innovation, frictionless, rapid consumption, provisioning, and transactability of the marketplace creates this moment for the hyperscalers and the surrounding ecosystems around them. So if I were an ISV, a GSI, or a tech partner today, have to have an hyperscaler strategy, especially with one or all of them put together. And this number is huge. This came from Canalys recently. The $45 billion in projected marketplace transactions here. And every company that is selling in the high-tech space, whether it's software applications or services, needs a share of this. And as a result, packaging your IP, putting it on the marketplace listing, whether you're a software company or services company, this has become the repeatable way to actually make your co-sell process more efficient, more scalable. So keep these three numbers in mind: 30%, 20%, and 45 billion. Now, behind this is, of course, an ecosystem being orchestrated, right? So if you look at any hyperscaler ecosystem, there is, of course, very direct ways of working. For example, in ISV, working with a hyperscaler partner. And just yesterday, I think CrowdStrike and AWS announced that they've crossed $1 billion in sales through the marketplace. That's an example of hyper growth enabled through the marketplace. We have similar win stories at all scales, actually, from data and AI partners. Look at AI as a boom in the industry, largely enabled because ISVs are doing AI for X, AI for any line of business, AI for any industry, like healthcare, for example. Those things are really partnerships enabled through the hyperscaler offerings, the base platform, but also the get to market and the go to market aspect of things, the incentives there, the go to market machine there, the existing customers who buy there. Just phenomenal way for companies to actually see growth. So 10 years ago, the right way to grow was through sales, and marketing efforts. In this decade, the right way to grow, especially in an accelerated way, in a disproportionate way, is through partnerships, especially with those with hyperscalers. I want to call out two additional patterns that I'm seeing. So if you are a global system integrator, you orchestrate a bunch of SIs towards a digital transformation project, and seeing a certain movement in the industry towards packaging that use case, that end-to-end use case for a given vertical or a horizontal problem, and then actually packaging that IP on a hyperscaler marketplace and taking it to market with them. And I think this pattern is actually even more transformative because it's working on end customer needs, end customer use cases, especially those transformation use cases. So whether we are talking about rethinking retail experience, whether we are talking about rethinking sustainability as a choice that we have to make as a human race, whether we are thinking about really hard problems in supply chain, we are looking at rethinking digital transformation and digitally transforming that business workflow. And GSIs are orchestrating an end-to-end solution where the customer is really in the middle, and they have the end-to-end solution that could include one or two ISVs or three, or in some cases, even 8 to 10 ISVs put together. And this motion is truly delivering transformation at scale because the hyperscaler infrastructure is there to provide that basis for change, basis for innovation, and you will see more and more of this pattern. So if you are in, the message for you is very clear. If you are an ISV sitting in the audience today, if you have a hyperscaler strategy, think about what is your hyperscaler strategy in conjunction with the GSI or the services strategy, especially with regional SIs, domain SIs, and global SIs. And I think this is going to be the next phase of partner to partner, multi-partner growth coming because of the ecosystem around the hyperscalers. Now, for a while, we thought the channel was getting disrupted with this. But guess what? One of the fastest growing segments within the hyperscaler strategy is actually channels partners. So things like CPPO, where channel partners and ISV partners are transacting and working through the hyperscaler marketplaces, is also emerging. So look for these two additional things. What is your channel strategy and what is your services strategy next to your own strategy with the hyperscaler? Because your own strategy with the hyperscaler is going to become table stakes very, very soon. And we are seeing trends where it is important and imperative to connect directly with these partners. Three quick success stories. First, abnormal security. This is something that WorkSpan worked with Microsoft. I'm very excited to welcome Nina next to the panel. She's going to come on in 10 minutes. Starts very simple. Start with one. And here, Abnormal has done plans at the global and regional level with different account teams. And what they saw was a 15x increase in co-sell velocity. And oftentimes we say, in partnerships, successful partnerships are those that have velocity. They actually do things for each other quickly. So I think that is a good measure of success, that you can accelerate this. Because of digitization, you can move this at network speed. And that's what Abnormal Security saw. Reltio, this is a great story as well, because they started with all hyperscalers, so AWS, Microsoft, and GCP. They're just two alliance professionals. And here what we're seeing is not just the increase in revenue, but also the cost simplicity, right? So relatively lower leverage on headcount, but huge impact in terms of co-sell, but also in terms of marketplace transactions. So this is where we call about efficiently growing. And Greg Sarafin from EY calls this the differential. Like you grow revenue 2.1x, but at the same time, your cost base is actually declining by 1.5x. So if you're competing with a company with an ecosystem strategy like this, like Reltio has, you're actually competing with a clearly 3.6x differential overall in terms of both the top line and the bottom line. And in the opening, you saw an example with SAP. They not only work with the hyperscalers, if you look at Rise or Grow with SAP, working with the public cloud infrastructures, but also their GSI ecosystem around it. And then complementing it is also the ISV ecosystem around it, because they want to give the customer the complete solution around the SAP platform. And on WorkSpan, they have 6.5 billion in co-sell pipeline today with GSIs, with ISVs and tech companies out there across 1,200 plus plans. So this is something that shows you that we can start with just one partnership, grow to all hyperscalers, and eventually add GSIs, ISVs, and hyperscalers into a cohesive ecosystem strategy where you're not only participating in other people's ecosystem, but you're also orchestrating your own. So that's the key takeaway. That this feels very different than the partner portal world. This feels more like a networked, collaborative, peer working with each other. So our vision at WorkSpan was to be the world's largest and trusted ecosystem network. We are well on our way for that vision, where we are connecting companies to work well with one another. And part of it is like, how do we do that, right? So one is, think of WorkSpan as first a human-to-human network, right? And here, one partner manager from one company can actually co-sell together with another company, as long as you're connected to your systems and they are connected to your systems. We are in the middle providing secure data sharing. This is where your data is private, that you mark. It's not shared with external partners without your permissions. And similarly, on their partner side as well, that guarantees there that if there are fields or documents or records that are marked as internal only, they are not shared externally. that field level data privacy and attribute based access control makes this network collaboration happen at scale. And that's why audit firms like Deloitte and EY and companies like Google and AWS and Microsoft and SAP share their pipeline connected to their CRM in real time, because their corporate policies on data sharing is actually not only honored and respected, but actually guarded, because we all know spreadsheets do travel. Next is integration, right? And this is key. Connecting to the CRM systems natively, to Salesforce, to Dynamics, to HubSpot. And on both sides, all you need to do is connect once to WorkSpan and then connect to each company processes. And then having a process layer that translates. So if you think about, business workflow that can start in your own company and end in another company. So we saw with Microsoft, for example, a deal can begin in your CRM, but needs to traverse to Microsoft Partner Center or AWS ACE system or Google Partner Advantage or SAP's CRM systems, and back and forth. This ability to actually take a process and translate as to what it means in the other side. So take an AWS requirement or Microsoft or Google requirement and convert it into what does it mean here and now in your CRM for that deal if you want to go partner with this company. That simplicity is something that we've enabled. And lastly, as a partnering organization, a key change in chief partner officers coming in. And what is different and unique about this is they're no longer talking about influence and soft measurements around, partnering teams are contributing, and yes, we do a lot. This is about measurement and rigor. This is about, just as how sales has their sales stages and organized around what they're forecasting, what we're seeing now is chief partner officers, and you will see the example with OWN and DeepWatch later on. These leaders are very clear about their revenue contribution to business. And because of that rigor and measurement, they're getting the investment and success. So here on WorkSpan, we've managed close to 50 billion in pipeline for co-sell. That's the volume today we manage. And just this on the right-hand side, what you can see is the bidirectional co-sell opportunity referral with just the hyperscalers. We have partners who have more than 10,000, even reaching 40,000 co-sell referrals a year. And we have partners who are just starting the journey with hundreds of referrals in a year. Certainly, if you've gone more than 30 co-sell opportunities, it crosses a human threshold to refer them, manage them, and update them and change them every week. And as a result, that threshold, if you've crossed 30, definitely this is the time for looking at automation so that you can speak to the business benefit of having the tool do the automation and work for you, but you focusing on the co-sell opportunity. The other big chart, we've been looking at this chart for a couple of years now. What has really changed in the last couple of years is the inbound from the hyperscalers. It used to be that a lot of the opportunities used to be outbound from the partner to the hyperscaler, looking for the hyperscaler influence and cloud commits and all those things. But what we really found different this year is the inbound deals. And I think there is one trend in the industry why this is happening is, one, the hyperscalers are really becoming, and their account teams are really becoming about not just competing for themselves, but competing as an ecosystem. They are truly in there because they are quota neutral. They are truly in there to kind of find not only the relevant hyperscaler opportunity, but also hunt together with the ISVs and the GSIs in that account. These strategies have become now mainstays at these companies. So that's one key reason that why this is happening. Second is that cloud commitment needs to be retired. So not only through the hyperscalers infrastructure and their core offerings, but also through the ISVs and GSIs. And I think this trend of retiring the cloud commitments is going to carry on, because if you looked at the AWS, Microsoft, and Google earnings, their unrealized, undeployed, inventory of stuff that is already sold in future years is way out there than what that companies have been able to consume so far. So huge opportunity. And that's why the yellow lines that you see in this bar used to be like, a 10 or 20%. We are seeing this approach 50%, somewhere between a third to a 50% is what we are seeing now. And that's different. So if you are in the world to kind of receive opportunities, this is, and that's the reason why you want to participate. I think this hyperscalers at this moment in time is one of the best bets in terms of growing pipeline for yourself because of these strategies. And here, very excited today, we are announcing the WorkSpan Hyperscaler Edition. So looking at this moment, this is the right time for WorkSpan to kind of take the overall offering that we have and package it into a hyperscaler offering. In this offering, what you get is, of course, core WorkSpan on a cloud native neutral platform that is connected to your CRM. So if you have Salesforce.com, you have a native experience of WorkSpan inside Salesforce.com. You have also connectivity into Microsoft Dynamics, HubSpot, and your CRM system on one side. But on the other side, this Hyperscaler Edition comes with pre-integration, bi-directional integration into AWS, Microsoft, and Google. We are the only company that offers this bi-directional co-sell integration in an API-based way, where we have automation back and forth from your CRM to AWS ACE, Microsoft Partner Center, Google Partner Advantage, and it works the other way as well. And this is where we are also very excited to announce that we have also not just that co-sell piece in the middle, but to the left of it, listing management. So we are in the market. We have launched this service. If you have listings that you are innovating on, creating new vertical packages, horizontal packages on any one of these marketplaces, we have the experts in-house to actually help accelerate your journey towards good listings. And then Puneet will have an announcement on the private offer side. I'll leave it to that. This is very exciting that we can do the end-to-end piece of your work with the hyperscalers, from innovating to co-selling to actually transacting that offer. So this is your growth engine. This is your innovation engine. And think about the WorkSpan Hyperscaler Edition as a packaged way to kind of get there. With that, Chip, I spoke a lot. Wanted to share the goodness that we have been seeing and working with these companies. And just a quick stat, for example, last quarter we saw over 200,000 co-sell opportunities with these hyperscalers. It's just massive volume. So extremely stoked and excited about the ecosystem around hyperscalers and how our teams itself are working, co-innovating with AWS directly on their APIs with Microsoft, and same thing with Google. These are exciting teams to work with in the partnering space.
Amit, that was fantastic.